Because as I was saying earlier, that the very bold statement Rishi Patanjali is making. So remember, the goal of yoga sadhana is to surrender. Surrender oneself to God. And quest for achieving this goal begins with the knowing one's mind. That's where it started. Mastery over the modifications. Having a trust in God. And then constantly staying in tune with this higher power. Constantly. Normally, we are just in between. Sometimes we have faith, sometimes we don't. We got to just establish this faith more and more with the help of japa. So japa, he says earlier that means to contemplate on the meaning of Om. Meaning, not just only saying the words. That means the divine being, which is denoted by it. Literal meaning of japa, if you look at the word itself, it's a ja and a pa. Ja means going back to again and again. Reaching for it, ja. Moving towards, that's called ja. And pa means protection, guidance, nurturance. So together, when we look at japa, that really means protection, guidance, nurturance. By virtue of going back to that very source of protection. So the real protection comes from God. So going back there again and again and again. And what is going there? Mind is going. Mind which just keeps on going towards the world. You are just taking it back again and again towards this higher power, protection. The question is, in actual practice, how do we do this kind of job? How to contemplate on God? How to embrace God consciousness? How to flow ourselves with God consciousness? So that's why the Yogi Guru says, infuse your mind, infuse your heart with the determinate truth that this entire world came from this single reality. All of this, whatever we see, just came from him. So that means this world is the manifest form of the absolute. This absolute pervades every aspect of the manifest form. That's why Lord Krishna said, I'm everywhere. There's no place where I'm not. And we also come from the Supreme. We exist in the Supreme. We are protected, guided, and nurtured by the Supreme. And so is everybody else also. So when we do japa, keep this in mind, that supreme reality is known by the word Om, and you are that. So this got to become our truth. First we say it, read about it, talk about it, believe in it, and feel it. What happens? All the negative tendencies from the mind, they fall away. When our mind is completely filled with this, there's no room for the negativity. You become a positive person. You lose your taste for finding faults in others. The world is no longer an ugly place. Life is no more a punishment. You see no reason to compete with anybody. The sorrow and joy of others become your sorrow and joys because your mind and heart is in tune with them. You begin to see all differences, all conflicts, contradictions as images are drawn on the sand. They don't affect you anymore. So this is what this Om mantra does for you. With the mind and heart infused with the awareness that everything and everyone, including yourself, is enveloped by God, is called jap. So jap does not just mean recitation from your lips or your mouth. So this is what we have to remember. All the doubts, they get shaken up. All the doubts. Because sometimes this mind wonders, am I doing the right practice? Am I on the right path? How do I know that I'm not making a mistake? All those go away because you are just looking towards the goal. You're connected with the goal. It doesn't matter which vehicle you are traveling in. The goal is to connect. Our prejudices or the preoccupations, preconceived notices, they just make us unreasonably judgmental. And that's where we keep on hurting ourselves. So, with the help of this kind of a connection with this higher power, all of that is gone. Inability to comprehend also, or inability to reach the goal also, because that's also one of the, towards the end of this list of obstacles, or the inability to remain grounded also, you cross over it very easily. You are moving with this intensity, with this kind of a practice. All of this is nothing then. Okay, so you're infusing your life with the God consciousness through the complete absorption in a job. But now there are 9 obstacles he mentioned over here. Now he is going to give us 5 more obstacles which can come on our path. And we'll see that do your job with a more fervor. Number 31. Dukh Dharmanasya Angam Jayatva Shwas Prashwas Vikshep Sahbhuva. Dukh. Dukh means like a pain or suffering. That's called dukh. When you are at a bad space, that's a dukh. Dormanasya, bad or negative frame of mind. It also means animosity, hatred, dislike, dormanasya. Angam jyatva, trembling of the limbs. Bad news comes to you, your limbs start to tremble. Arjun said that in the middle of the war. He said, my limbs are trembling, my head is twirling. That's called Angam Jayatva. Shwas, breathing in, that's inhalation. Prashwas, exhalation. Vikshep Sahabhuva, disturbance or distraction. That's like a letting the mind fall apart. Sah means with, Bhuva means birth. So Vikshep Sahabhuva, the conditions that accompany the obstacles. That's what it means. So pain, mental agitation, trembling or shakiness of limbs, inhalation and exhalation, like that means like a disturbed inhalation and exhalation, all arise with the above mentioned obstacles. Okay, so those obstacles, this is a continuation of those. You will be confronted with these 5 further conditions. That's what what he's trying to say, with the help of the jap, even these 5 you can control. They won't disturb you anymore. Okay, so Because normally we are just trying to remove the dukh from our life. Pain is a condition whose very presence demands removal. So instead of focusing on the pain, if we focus on the japa, the pain goes away. So that's what he's trying to tell us. He is giving us a very direct method of removing these obstacles. All of them. Then he says in the next one, 32, tat pratishedartham ek tattva abhyasa. Tat means that. Over here, this that really means 9 obstacles and 5 conditions which accompany them. Tat. Pratished artham, to prevent, to negate, to overcome. Ek tattva abhyasa. Ek means one, tattva means the truth. Abhyas is the practice. See, again, he's telling us that meditation on one single truth is the way to overcome these obstacles. So instead of bringing our mind towards the pain and the doubt and a lot of other obstacles, bring your mind back on the abhyas. Do the abhyas, practice of one single reality. So Patanjali is reinforcing the idea of embracing God through a prolonged, uninterrupted practice of japa. It is important to remember that Patanjali has a very concrete idea of practice. According to him, practice means making an effort. Okay, he mentioned that earlier. So, making an effort to stay there, tatra sthito. So, stay there. There means the realm of consciousness where truth, absolute reality, resides in its pristine form. So, mind which goes anywhere else, bring it back. Again and again, bring it back. So, you remember that verse? Continuous, uninterrupted practice that allows the mind remain focused on the eternal and never changing reality that will make our mind stable. So as practitioners, we should understand it. Cultivate a one-pointed mind. Even when we do the Hatha Yoga, we can do the Hatha Yoga better when we have a one-pointed attention. Focusing it on one object, which is stable, is very important. And in this world, manifested world, nothing is stable. Only thing which is stable is the Atma and Paramatma. So that's why he says, bring your mind towards that absolute truth. Because there's no object in this world that can be used as a focal point for this kind of a practice. So in this sutra, Patanjali makes an extra effort to warn students, serious students like us, about what is and is not meditation, what is practice and what is not practice. So the practice that enables you to give inner stability, that takes you inside, that introduces you to yourself, that eliminates all the obstacles, and finally that makes you see and embrace the truth. That alone is a practice. Otherwise, we are wasting our time. So a serious practitioner is very careful about this. So he says that use this japa and remember the whole thing. Okay. Now, we cannot just keep on practicing meditation 24/7. We live in this world. So he says you can use these outer relationships also. When you deal with the world, if you deal it a special way, you will make your mind more stable, you will make your mind clean also, and you will see the higher truth also. So again, this number 33, You're all familiar with this verse, very important, very famous verse. We talk about it at the ashram all the time. So, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, Sukh, Dukh, Punya, Apunya, Vishay, Bhavanata, Chit, Prasadanam. Okay, so it looks big, but when you really break it down, it's a very simple verse. Practicing may not be that simple, but to understand, it's very, very simple. So, Maitri means a friendship. Maitri. Karuna, compassion. Mudita. Mudita means a virtue of cheerfulness, a joyful condition of our mind. Upeksha. Upeksha means when we see near, overlooking or not involving, that's upeksha. Or it also means seeing without judging or uninvolved observation. This upeksha word is very important to understand. Upeksha. Sukh means auspicious or good. Happiness, sukh is called happiness also. Dukh means unpleasant, lack of happiness. Punya. Punya means virtues. Path of purity is called punya. Apunya, which lacks punya, opposite of punya. Vishay is the object, bhavnataha, by thinking, pondering, absorbing. Chit prasadanam. Chit is the deeper part of mind. Prasadanam means clarity, transparency. So infusing the mind with friendliness, compassion, cheerfulness, and uninvolved observation in relation to those living a happy, miserable, virtuous, and non-virtuous life, respectively, results in reclaiming a pristine state of mind. So, in other words, we want a pristine state of mind. We want Chit Prasadnam. We want clarity. He says how to get a clarity of the mind while living in this world. So he says, when you see somebody is happy, think that they are your friend. Don't judge them. They are your friend. Be happy in their happiness. When you see somebody suffering, miserable, have compassion. When you see some virtuous deeds are being done, be joyful. And when there are some unvirtuous deeds are being done, without judging, do not get involved. Because if we start judging, we are getting involved. These people, those people, says don't do that. Because otherwise you are making your own mind dirty. So it's like a 4 ways for 4 different conditions which come in our life all the time. Sukh and dukh, we see that that's part of this life. There's a pleasant time, there's an unpleasant time. In our life also, in other people's life also. So when we see somebody going through suffering, have compassion. Somebody is going through happy period, feel happy for them. Okay? Virtuous deeds are being done, be joyful. Unvirtuous deeds are being done, stay a little apart from it, do not get involved. So remember that these are, they happen all the time in our life. So if we use these attitudes towards those 4 situations, it becomes easier to keep our mind pristine in the right state of mind. Because the whole journey is with the mind. So we are paying attention to our mind. So the other 3 very easy to understand. Just upeksha, remember that. Sometimes people think upeksha means indifferent. It really means uninvolved observation. Uninvolved observation is very important to understand. We don't need to label the sinners. There are sinful actions are being done, and there are virtuous actions are being done too. Be happy for the virtuous actions and don't judge. Okay, if you need to get involved, pick up a cause, that's fine. But make sure that you keep in mind, eye on your mind though. We don't want to dirty our mind. Because if you dirty our mind, who will have to clean it? We'll have to clean it. It's our mind. Okay? Another way he's telling us to stay on this path, verse number 34. Prachadaran vidharan vidharnabhyam va pranasya. So it's like a pranayam he's talking about. So deeper pranayams you can do. This is a special kind of a pranayam, prachadaran vidharnabhyam. You can bring that light in your mind also. So prachadaran means outgoing breath. Vidharan means to retain the breath. Va means or, pranasya means the life force. So by practicing a special pranayam that involves forceful exhalation or a retention of breath, one acquires a pristine state of mind. Okay, so according to the yoga science and philosophy, pranayam techniques are one of the best ways to purify the mind. We'll see that in the second chapter also, that he talks about this pranayam, that how we can lift the veil over our soul with the help of the pranayam. There are several kinds of pranayams in Hatha Yoga, but this pranayam he mentions in the Raj Yoga. Okay, it's a particular pranayam, which the aim of this pranayam is making the mind crystal clear. I'm not going to go into the detail of this pranayam. Just remember that I think we have other recordings on the details of these pranayams in our website. So if you are interested in, there are 4 steps to this pranayam. And practice of this really very powerful practice, which really brings more light. Okay. And now another way to move towards the goal. Verse number 35. Vishyavati va pravriti utpanna manasaha sthiti nibandhani. Vishyavati, that means accompanied by the object of the senses. Va means or. Pravriti means special modifications of mind. Pravriti. So over here it really means the subtle elements which are called tanmatras, subtle elements. Subtle elements manifest directly from the inner potentials of the senses. Utpanna, manifest or born. Manasaha, related to the mind. Sthiti nibandhani, sthiti is stability. Ni means completely. Bandhani means which binds. So together, if you look at this sthiti nibandhani means that which will, with a certainty, binds the mind to a particular state. So in other words, which really makes our mind one-pointed. So what is he trying to say? He says, or. See, again, he is giving us different ways to control this mind. He says, or when a sensory experience manifests directly from inside, it leads the mind to a state of concentration. So while you are practicing, you will see that, I'm not saying the first day of practice, but as you are practicing, effortless concentration will happen. And effortless concentration's gift You will have a sensory experience arising from the inner realm. The science of yoga proclaims that the human body is the repository of limitless powers and privileges. In our body alone, there is a heaven and there is a hell also. Through Vivek Shakti, the discriminative power, we distinguish between these two. And we have the power to employ our mind and senses to explore the objects of our desire. But normally what we are doing is using the senses and the mind to explore outside only. Constantly we are exploring into the outer field. But when we are meditating, we are doing the exploration inside. And with the help of this inner exploration these sensory experiences manifest. That means if you do a certain practice on the tip of your nose, you will have a heavenly feeling of fragrance coming. There's no flowers outside, but you feel that you're smelling that fragrance. With the pranayams, certain pranayams, the bhasrikas, when we do, in the palate itself, you will see the light over there. Manifestation of the light. You could be hearing through your ears that divine music. This is what he really means. Vishevati vapravritir utpanna mansa sthiti nibandhane. But it happens only with the process you have to go through. So the mind which has made a habit of roaming outside, you got to bring that mind inward. So whether you want to practice at the tip of the nostrils for the celestial aroma, I mean, it's not that you want it, but it appears. This is almost those devatas, they are giving you a signal that whatever you are practicing, this practice is good. Manifestation of these extraordinary experiences cultivated in the mind will destroy the doubt. And eventually it will serve as the passage to Samadhi. This is not Samadhi. This is only these higher powers are encouraging you. Do not run after this. Do not do the practice because of this. Draw the inspiration from this. So this sutra is referring to the spontaneous manifestation of these extraordinary experiences. And I'm sure some of you have had that. And remembering those experiences should increase further our practice. Okay, so that's why I use the word tan matra. Just keep on. But in order to do this, we got to consider this body as a temple. Temple. Deho devalya prokta. That means keeping it clean also, feeding it clean also, having the clean thoughts also, making sure you do all the Hatha Yoga practices, whether it's a asana or a pranayam or a jal neti or a woman, do all of that. Because this is a temple. It's my duty to keep the temple clean. And then when you meditate, you will experience this because God does reside. All these devatas, they all are here. Okay, so at the physical level, we'll get the benefit, but then we'll move towards the higher realms also. Now let's move to number 36. Vishokaha va jyotishmati. See again this va word, remember va means or. So you can practice this also. Not and, it's or. Because sometimes a person thinks, oh God, so many things he's telling us. No, he says you can do this or this or this or this. Okay? So Vishokaha, that which is devoid of worry and grief. Vishokaha. See, shok means grief, worry. Vi shok means devoid of. Va means or. Jyotishmati, that which is filled by light, that which is accompanied by light. Jyotishmati. When a state of worrylessness and effulgence manifests directly from inside, it leads the mind to a state of concentration. So that means an experience of the inner light shining in the cave of the heart is the gift of non-attachment. And from that experience, perfect stability of mind arises. You see that light. When you see your inner light, where there's a grief then? Under the light, there's no grief. But the question is, how can a person reach the point in the inward journey which is free from all worry? We live in this world. There's a worry, especially these days. We hear worry, we see worry. So how do we really go to that level where there's no worry? The answer is simple. For those who know the sources of the practice, this sutra is describing. So this sutra is telling us who you are, the essence you are, the Atma which is part of Paramatma. There's no worry in there. Worry is only in the outer fields. Worry is only something which can change. That changeless, there's no worry, it's only light. So when you start to identify yourself with that, then what is the worry? So practice should take us to that level. For most people, the way to reclaim a pristine state of mind, this kind of a mind, is difficult. So that's why he's saying some people can use this if you have reached to that level. That doesn't mean everybody is there right now. Even though this divinity is all of us, there's nobody who's devoid of that. Nobody. So believing in it, imagining it. So this is what yoga tradition describes meditation on the light. You can meditate on the form, you can meditate on the light, you can meditate on the mantra. But over here, he's talking about the light. And that light doesn't have any worry, any fear, any grief. So meditation. It could be a meditation at the heart center. There's a light there. Meditation over here. Meditation over here. No fluctuation. No worry. If this is not available, he says, you can do this. Next one. Veet rag vishyam vachitam. Veet. Veet means devoid of. Rag means attachment. Vishya means object. One whose mind is not attached with the object. An object over here could be the preconceived notions, prejudices, desire, anger, hatred, greed, ego. So he's saying a person who is devoid of all this, a person of undistorted perception, that is a Veet Rag Vishya. Va means or, Chitta means mind. So stability of mind comes by making it free from attachment or by meditating on one who is free from attachment. So this sutra can be interpreted in two different ways. So according to the first interpretation, it is vairagya, non-attachment, that brings stability to the mind. So cultivate a mind which is There's no desire at all. But a second interpretation is your mind is not like that right now. Meditate on somebody else's mind whose mind is like that. Okay? So attach your mind with the mind which is not attached. So in other words, if you meditate on one who is free from all desires, you will cultivate a dispassionate mind. But the problem is, how do we know who is perfectly established in the principle of non-attachment? Perfectly. Because dispassion or the detachment is an extremely subtle mental attribute. A person who is blessed with this attribute can know if he or she has it. So in other words, it really takes an unshakable faith in that person. Unshakable faith. If I know my guru has that kind of a mind and I try to fix my mind on my guru's mind, then I will draw this value from guru's mind. That's what it really means. Vitrag vishyam vachitam. Unalloyed faith is not so easy to acquire. Normally we have doubt. This is why the yogi gurus or the masters, they prescribe this practice only for the insightful students. The students who have the ability to discern this, discern who is truly established in non-attachment. Then he gives us another option in the next verse. Number 38. Swapan nidra gyan alambanva. Swapan is the dream, nidra is the sleep. Gyan is the knowledge, experience. Alamban. Alamban is a object of focus. Va means or by meditating on the experience of dream and sleep, one gains stability of mind. Dreaming and sleeping states are more subtle than the waking state. During the waking state, the conscious mind is working. In the waking state, mind is able to perceive the objects of the world with the help of the 5 cognitive senses. But when we are dreaming or sleeping, we are not working with those senses. During dream and deep sleep, mind is turned inward. Activities of our senses, they have been shut down. So that means in our dream, if we had a vision of God or of our Guru, and remembering that will have a more effect on our lower mind. When we get out of the dream and deep sleep, remembering that I spent time with my Guru. That's a very powerful way to clean your mind, to focus your mind also. This is when we begin to experience a vast universe which has the bottomless memories. But most of the people, when they just start out on this journey, their mind is scattered, mind is cluttered. Their dreams are like that too. So that is not the time to rely on your dreams. In order to rely on your dreams and making sure that in your dream also you see the divinity, a balanced lifestyle is needed. A balanced lifestyle helps you balance your mind also during the dream world also. A balanced lifestyle creates an internal environment conducive to linear, less choppy dreams. So during a dream also, you are awake internally. You know who is the watcher of the dream and who is the watcher of the deep sleep also. So there's a clear distinction between spiritual dreams and dreams that are simply expressions of our unfulfilled emotions, desires, thoughts, feelings, disorganized memories. A spiritual dream is always clear. When you are awakened, you remember it. And there is a beautiful sense of joy. Deep within you, you know that it was real. You do not feel the slightest need to verify it. In fact, the power of this kind of a dream can purify the conduit, the entire mind field. All you see is the light, all you remember is the light. It flows through you, and you wake up with a greater degree of clarity of mind. And even purity of the heart also. Me and mine, they disappear in this kind of a dream. The simple memory of that dream makes your mind one-pointed and turns it inward. So I'm not talking about every dream has that power, but for a practitioner, dreams started to come as a dhyan, meditation. It's like a state of spontaneous meditation emerges from you. You don't have to meditate, you are meditating. In your dream also you're meditating. When you're awake, you're meditating. And then he says in the next one, number 39, Yatha abhimat dhyanat va. Yatha means accordingly. Abhimat. Abhi means in every direction. Mat means opinion. Dhyanat by meditation. Va means or. By meditating on any object of one's choice, one attains steadfastness of mind. So he has given us so many different ways to meditate, so many different ways to make your mind focused, clean, clear. Over here, he's telling us if you can think of something else, if something else is more dear to you, something you think it's divine, use that. So he's not just telling us, do this, otherwise you are not going to attain. He says, hey, idea is to clean your mind. Use the mind as a vehicle, but goal is that. So yatha abhimat dhyanat va. So by meditating on any objects of one's choice, one attains steadiness of mind. See, abhimat in Sanskrit, these terms, they are very pregnant terms, they say. So there is a two ways we look at this word abhimat. Abhimat means, yeah, whatever you choose. Abhimat also means the object of meditation, which has been unanimously agreed upon by scores of adepts and aspirants. So that means a lot of people, they thought about it, whether it's a sun or the moon or the candlelight. So whatever a lot of people thought, because they have really experienced it, so that's a abhimat also. And then another way we can look at abhimat is the tradition you belong to. It's called a parampara, the tradition. Okay, so particular tradition. See, some people, they belong to a tradition, guru tradition. Your guru is giving you that name and the form. Use that. So that's why he says, in this sutra, he is advising us to identify. It's okay. Some use this form, other people use a different form. It could be because a lot of people are using it, you want to use it, that's fine. But then you are following a certain tradition and your guru says this is for you, then you use that. Okay, so this is a abhimata. So over here he stops giving us different choices, different objects or ways to clean and control our mind. Now he tells us what really happens if we have meditated to this level, if we have cleared our mind, controlled our mind, what really happens. He says, Parmanu, Param Mahatvantat. See, Param Mahatva Ant, if you break it down. Asya Vashikara. So, Parmanu means the smallest particle imaginable. Param Anu means atom. Param means absolute. Okay, so Parmanu means the smallest particle imaginable. Param is highest, Mahatva is the grand. Ant means the end. So when we look at it together, this complex word, that means biggest entity, the highest expansiveness. So from a very small to a very large. Asya means this. So this asya really means over here the absolute concentration of the mind. This is what asya over here means. Vashikara, a particular state of samadhi. That's vashikara. So thereafter, a yogi's mastery stretches from the smallest atom to the biggest objects. Infinite capacity. A calm, clear, inward flowing mind is the key to mastery over both the outer and the inner world. That's how the yogis, they knew how big this universe is, how far the sun is, how big the sun is, and how many suns are there, how many galaxies. And what is inside also, inside the body, without going through the operation, knew all the glands, knew all the energy channels, knew everything, even the mind, or the different layers of the mind. That is a anu. So that's what he says. Thereafter, a yogi's mastery stretches from the smallest atom to the biggest objects. There's nothing unattainable for a yogi. Okay? So, can penetrate mysteries that are impenetrable to an ordinary mind. A yogi's mental stability is such that while sitting in the middle of a swirling cloud of atoms, a yogi remains as immobile as mountain. Such a yogi also focuses his mind on immense objects, such as mountain ranges, even stars, and the suns. And this is all because of the expanded field of the mind. He can see what is going on in the world, its cause and its effect also. And that's why these yogis are called Trikal-drashta. They know the past and the present and the future also. All three times they know. Sitting at one place, they know what happened countless years ago and what will happen after countless years too. All because of this concentration of the mind. Able to go back and forth between extremes, from the subtlest to the grossest, from the smallest to the biggest. Able to stay focused on extreme, but instantly can come back also. ability to switch the focus also, ability to switch between the two contrary objects also. That's what Patanjali is talking about here. This is the mastery of the mind. We are right now a slave to the mind. With all these practices, he's teaching us, telling us that how you can become a master of this mind. Such a masterful yogi is capable of focusing on that which is steady as well as which is constantly moving also. That level of mastery. Then in the next verse he says, Kashen vritihi abhijatasya iv gane grihitri grahan graheshu tat stha tad anjantah samapati. Kashen vrite. Vriti, you all know, modification. Kashen means destroyed, erased. Abhijatasya. Abhijat is, it's like a special gem which fulfills all the wishes. Abhijat. That's a wish fulfilling gem. Iv means like, Gane means, Mane means jewel, Grihitri means perceiver, recipient. Grahan, the process of receiving. Grahe means receivable. So together, Grihitri, Grahan, Graheshu means, this compound word means in relation to the objects of meditation, the process of meditation, and the pure transcendental consciousness that witnesses it all. Tat satha tad anjantaha. Tat means that, stha means based upon, anjantaha, the quality of having a color or characteristics, samapati, the end result, samapati. Like a conclusion of something is called samapati. So a tranquil mind, let me give you the definition of this complicated looking verse. A tranquil mind is like a crystal. Okay, it's like a money. Tranquil mind is like a crystal. It assumes the color of whatever is in its proximity, be it an object of concentration, the process of concentration, or the pure consciousness that witnesses the inner functioning of the mind. So over here, he is telling us, why do we need to make our mind clear? So that means in front of that clear mind, whatever is in front of it, you'll see it as it is. Instead of thinking what and if, you are just looking at it, whatever it is, it will be crystal clear to you. Okay? So in this sutra, Patanjali is making two important points actually. First is, mind is like a gem. It is a gem which is like a wish yielding gem. And second, the mind has the ability to assume the color of anything in its proximity. And that's what happens. We see that. Mind can absorb whatever it goes through. But mind, if we make it crystal clear, it's a wish fulfilling gem also. Okay? So such a powerful, that's why mind is, there are so many mantras written about mind in the Vedas. Mind is called a devata. It's called a jyoti. So a yogi uses this mind. But there's no trace of the past lingers in the mind. So all the enjoyments are through the mind. The life is experienced through the mind. But at the end, yogi knows I got to keep my mind crystal clear. No trace of the past lingers in a yogi's mind. Free of the memories of the past, that's why there's no reason to be anxious about the future. Such a person is liberated here and now. It's not that yogi is not enjoying. Yogi enjoys to the fullest, but no traces left on the mind. Number 42. Tatra Shabad Arth Gyan Vikalp Sankirnaha Savitarkaha Samapati. So this Samapati word is for Samadhi also. Okay. So what happens with that kind of a mind? Further practice, keep on practicing, you reach the Samadhi. Samapati. Tatra means there, Shabad means word, Arth means meaning, Gyan means awareness, Vikalp. Vikalp is the option, alternative. Sankirna, confined. Savitarkaha, accompanied by inquiries, like a gross object. Savitarak, Samapati, that is a Samadhi or end result of that meditation. When the mind focuses on an object in association with the word and its meaning, there arises Savitarka Samapati, a narrow field of concentration that contains the word, its meaning, and the object denoted. So, in other words, you are using the object to attain the Samadhi. So, this is a one layer of Samadhi, which is called a Savitarak Samadhi. So, spiritual absorption is there, but you are using some kind of a gross object to reach there. So, spiritual absorption, ultimately that will drop down. But first you need some kind of a, it's almost like using the boat to go across the river. So mind and the object on which it is focused have become one definitely, but you are using that particular object. So Vitarak Samadhi. So I think I'm going to stop it here because it's 1:20 and we are supposed to end today's seminar 1:30. So we have covered quite a bit, even though I wanted to finish this chapter, but it's better to stop it here and then finish it next week, next time when we meet, and then move forward from there. Okay. So any question? Anybody has a question, Jyoti?
Okay. Let me ask a question.
Oh, nobody has a question?
I'll ask a question.
Okay, sure.
So when you talked about japa,
Japa, okay.
Of how the simple Om can do the whole works for it. When you're given a Guru mantra, can you switch back and forth or stick to Guru mantra or?
Yeah, you can still use Om also. Om is fine too. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. You can, I know what you're talking about. So Guru Mantra and Om, there's no contradiction.
Okay.
Okay, so if you use the Om for because sometimes Guru Mantra is a little longer. Right. So Om, because ultimately what happens is these mantras, they drop down too.
Okay.
So it's the feeling. Mm-hmm. Whether you are using the Guru Mantra or the Om, the feeling has to be there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the mantra drops down.
Okay.
Okay, so you can use, to answer your question, yes, you can use either one of them. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Ari?
Hello. Namaste.
Namaste, Ari. How are you? First of all, tell us where are you from? Are you from Chicago or?
No, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. I went to the ashram a couple of years ago when I was visiting Chicago.
I remember you. Yes. Oh. Yes, I do remember you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Good.
Thank you for doing this on Zoom. I'm very glad to be able to be here with you all.
Yeah, we do have other classes also. Every day we have classes. This is the only class where we have it with the registration. But feel free to join any class. I think Jyoti will tell you all about it. Okay. Yeah, thank you. What is your question?
I'm just looking through all of this, and I think like the obstacles and the meditation, it's one thing, the practice and the non-attachment is one thing on the mat and on the when I'm meditating on the cushion, and then it's the transition, right? It's doing it in life and the practice. I'm thinking about what you said about it's not just the meditation, it's meditating on God and all that comes along with that. But then when you meet those people who are, I'm trying to find the, who that we don't want to judge. We don't want to judge and get involved with the judging with them. Number 33, we want to meet people with friendliness and compassion and trying to come back to the practice. That's where I struggle. Coming back to the practice when I'm not on the mat, when I'm meeting those people who are not virtuous or perhaps I shouldn't judge them. Maybe they are virtuous and they're just not showing it in that moment, you know? And I wonder your thoughts on that.
Yeah. See, what we are learning over here, definitely we need to practice it. We may not be able to practice all of it one day. So keeping in mind and just bring it more and more into practice. Okay? Don't get disturbed that, oh, I'm not there yet. It's like slowly you will see that this knowledge will change the recesses of your mind. Okay, so we cannot expect right away if somebody is mistreating us, for example, or somebody is judging us, and let go of that feeling also, like shaking it off. It will come. This knowledge, whatever we are learning, it will take roots. The more and more we believe in it, you'll see that. Okay, so don't get disheartened. Just keep on practicing. So that's why practicing this alongside the Hatha Yoga will help us more. These are like two branches of yoga we need to walk on. Take care of this and at the same time doing our duties also. See, there's a Karma Yoga, there's a Hatha Yoga, and this is called a Raj Yoga. Okay, then there's a Bhakti Yoga. So to me, I think all of this, when we just bring the elements of this in our life, then we see, yeah, it's making a little difference. And it's a journey. It's again a journey. It's not a quick fix, but it's a journey. But this is the truth, though. We are learning what the truth is, that we are all one. There's a God in all of us, the same God in all of us. The light, the divinity in all of us. But the layers outside are different. We got to learn how to clean our layers, at the same time respect the others' layers also. Okay, so it's a journey. But keep coming to the classes, Ari. That's good. I'm glad you came back, and now through Zoom we can see each other more. Okay. Yes, Jyoti.
Prem has a question.
Yes, please. Hershi, what was the name of the pranayama that you spoke about in verse 34?
Yeah, I think this pranayama we did a few months ago. I went through it in a detail. Is it on WhatsApp? I mean, not WhatsApp.
No, I will check the website. Prem, I will let you know.
Can you just give me the name for now?
Yeah, it's like a two words, prachadaran and vidharan.
Prachadaran.
Prachadaran and vidharan. Prachadaran.
Vidharan.
It's like it is. Prachadaran means a chiseling. When we chisel something. So with the help of this pranayama, we are chiseling the layers of our mind.
Okay.
Okay, the impurities of our mind we are getting rid of with the help of this very particular pranayama. There are 4 steps to it. So look, if we don't have it, we can I can talk about it in one of the Wednesdays class again.
And Hersh, could you say a little bit more about? You said if you cannot focus, meditate on someone else who can focuses.
Yeah, somebody else's whose mind is pure.
Yeah.
And normally we always know that our Guru's mind is very pure, the Guru, right? So we just focus on Guru's mind. Personally, this is what I practice, especially when I have to think about what to do, what not to do. I always take my mind towards my Guru's mind. It just, you draw energy from your Guru's mind.
Is this something like you say, okay, how would my Guru handle it?
Yeah.
Like that?
Same thing, yeah. But in meditation also, you can just use that Guru.
So just look at that Guru and just with reverence and...
with the reverence, with the surrender, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You are connecting. See, just like, don't I always tell you that when you're studying Bhagavad Gita, just connect your heart with Rishi.
With an object like maybe...
yeah, who wrote it? Right? Who wrote it? Only then you can understand it.
Okay.
If you really cannot feel the presence of Rishi Vyas with you, you cannot understand what he's saying.
I see.
Valmiki Ramayana we study Tuesdays. If we cannot be at the feet of Rishi Valmiki, we cannot.
Okay.
So these are the great personalities. They are, see, when we talk about Prakriti Laya, before I said, these are the Prakriti Laya. They are here. We cannot see them, but they are here.
Okay.
So all we need to do is, because our mind is connected with the worldly object so much, we don't connect with that higher power. We can invite them. We can invite Guru Nanak Dev Ji anytime. We can invite Krishna's anytime. We can invite Jesus Christ anytime. We can invite Buddha anytime. These are all Prakriti Laya for our help.
So are you saying that they'll show up in not necessarily form, but they'll guide us?
They will guide us. They might show up in form also. There's nothing impossible for these.
Okay.
Because they have conquered the Prakriti. I always give you that example all over this world. Ganesh, all the deities of Ganesh at the same time was drinking milk. How did that happen?
Got
There
it.
are so many other instances in other religious organizations also. But again, our worldly mind starts to doubt. Because we are so connected with the objective world.
Yeah.
We want to connect with the subjective world.
Yes.
So these meditations, they take us from the objective world to the subjective world.
To be subjective. Thank you.
So this is what Patanjali is telling us. But if we really cannot do it right now, so that's why he has given us so many different options.
Yes.
Right? You can do pranayama, or you can do so many different options. I would like Niru to just write down the options only for us. She's good in making these handouts for us. So just options. What can we do? Can I do this? No, it's not for me right now. It's not available to me. I'm going to do something else. So look for something else. But make sure that you're working on the Abhyas and Vairagya part though.
And would you say, Rishi, that at different levels of our stage of mind, we are drawn towards different way of
and we can use more than one, or you can use one, but idea is to just go beyond this manifested world.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is what we are learning over here. So ultimately, From this learning, we have to practice.
Thank you.
And practice with full faith.
Thank you.
Okay, so understanding comes, then the practice comes, then we just move from there. So that's why there's an ongoing, and we are doing this these retreats on Zoom, and I'm glad that there's a Melanie from Florida, and there's a Monica from California, and there's a Ari came. Am I saying your name right, Ari? Okay, all right. So it's nice to see you all, and keep practicing. And in between, also, if you have a question, you can always call me. Okay. So yes, Jyoti.
Kim has a question.
Yes, Kim.
Prem, I just wanted to say that pranayam is on our website, okay?
Okay.
Her
Thank
hand
you
out.
very much.
Good. Thank you, Jyoti. See, right away she looks at it and she tells us. Thank you. So
And
nice of you, Jyoti. Yes. So that pranayam, we did it. I think we did it in during more than 1 week, right? Slowly, I went through
Slowly,
it.
yeah, we did it step by step, and then
Step
Kim
by step.
did a nice handout for us.
There are 4 steps to it. So just
Okay.
make sure you just practice each step before you move on to the next step.
The next step.
Start with step 1, then step 2, step 3, step 4. Then when you are familiar with all 4, then you can practice it every day. That will deepen your meditation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Practice helps detachment.
Okay.
And detachment helps to do practice. They go both hand in hand. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Kim, you have a question?
yes, I do. But I wanted to add one more thing, Prem. There's a handout on the YSA website that wrote with all of the steps written out in detail, so you can watch the video and then use the handout as a reference.
Thank you.
Also.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And anytime anybody has a question, please do feel free to call me or send me a message. But practice only you can do. I cannot practice for you, right?
So
I can only teach you. Practice you must do. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Poonam has a Poonam.
Oh,
Poonam.
No, I just joined in. I don't know. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I had no question.
Oh, you just joined in. Okay.
Yeah.
Guruji, I did have a question for you.
Sure. Sure, Kim.
Else has a question. So it makes a lot of sense that meditation and all of these practices can bring stillness and stability to your mind and detachment. But could you speak about how to establish or strengthen faith, in the face of all our doubts and despair and anxiety and fear?
Yeah, see, faith, we'll talk about faith in one of these Wednesdays then, because that's a big topic again. Okay. But right now, I would say, just bring your mind to this truth that God is everywhere. God is inside me. God is outside me. Okay. It's my God. I'm part of God. Just the more love we have, the more faith we will have. Anything we love, faith is there. We have a love for this body. That's why we have faith in this body. We have a love for money. That's why we have faith in money. So love and faith, they go hand in hand. Love God. In fact, this Wednesday, I'm going to talk about this. So that will be recorded also. If anybody cannot come, just listen to that. Because I am going to use the example of a lady whose name is Shabri. What kind of a faith she had. When we know the faith of somebody like that, it inspires us to have a faith like that. So faith is always increased with the right company, with the service. That's another thing I'm going to talk about. There are elements to this faith. Okay. So without just taking more time, because I know you all have to eat lunch also, but that's a good question, Kim. Faith needs to be, and faith can be, it can go up and down too. So we got to keep on working on it, just like this physical body. It can be healthy one day and sick the next day. The faith, it can get shattered also. So that's why we got to keep an eye on it,
Yes.
right? I mean, don't most of the people, they get married, they love each other. They cannot live without each other. Then after some times, they cannot live with each other. How does that happen? Right? So the same thing happens, our faith. So we got to just keep on working on it. Keep on working.
Thank
But-
you.
Haji,
Yeah.
I will be seeing you around 2:30, around 2:30, 2:45. All good?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Good. I'd love to see
All
you.
right. All right.
Would you like to have a Molly on?
It's
For your
okay.
birthday?
It's okay.
I can. No,
As you wish.
I will. I would love to tie Molly on you. Your birthday is coming.
All right.
Your birthday is Monday, right? Or Tuesday?
Yes. Monday.
Monday. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Martin Luther King holiday, I guess.
Oh, I see. You're sharing a beautiful day, huh?
Giving everybody Monday off. How about that?
Yeah, you're giving everybody a day off for your birthday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So generous of you, Poonam. Thank you.
I'll see you in a little bit then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So Melanie, how are you?
Hello.